just in case. I was really disappointed when so many people lost power. Where could they go? I mean, people were going to hotels. Some were trying to find friends. You know, I was lucky. I didn't lose my power, but my neighbor behind me did, because you saw the branches laying on the ground, and you could hear the generator at night for almost a whole week. We need to be more informed, more prepared, and the information needs to be given out to the public. And not just on the internet, you know, on MLive. You know, it needs to be printed. It needs to have it always on TV and always on radio. Where were there warming centers for some of our residents in the city? You could hear some of the locations for out the city, and you hear it in maybe 2 places inside the city, but not everybody can go to the Red Cross or to charity outreach. I didn't find out until later there were some schools available, some churches available. How can we help our people if we don't tell them what they can do? And this also goes to leaf pickup. I had a number of calls that their bags were not being picked up because it was already after Thanksgiving. And that was poor notification given to residents to get those bags out there. They had the bags. That, you know, I know one of the problems was trying to get the residents to put them in the bags. They were complying, but we weren't picking them up. So now, as you drive through, they're probably under piles of snow now. I tried to help one resident. I went up to someone with a pickup truck, asked him if he would pick them up, and he did. But I couldn't help anymore because by then the snow was coming. So, you know, we need to be a little bit more proactive, share the communication, get it out there to the public, and I think we would have a better understanding and acceptance of what we can do and how we can help each other. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman, Councilman Nolan? No? Councilwoman Poplar?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things. Referring, first of all, to the last gentleman, I don't know if he's still here, that came up to the mic. You know, I do believe everybody has their own opinion of what we do, how we do, and the minute control that we have in this city. But I can only speak for Jackie Poplar. Over the last few days, with the weather catastrophe that we had in the city, I had some real problems. On the streets that were not plowed, I had medical emergencies with seniors that were 80 and 90 years old. And I know that there's a protocol that we have to do as far as getting paperwork to the emergency manager, Mr. Earley. And no disrespect to Mr. Earley, but I haven't just sat in this seat for 3 terms being stupid. Amen. And I knew that my people had to get to dialysis, and they had to get to Hurley Medical Center. And I had a lady that hadn't eaten in 3 days that was 90 years old. Amen. So I took care of these people. True. I might not do much, but what I do, I do. And I thank God that I have enough sense that I can call and know who to call and when to call. And I want to thank Mr. Howard Croft, and I certainly want to thank Ms. K. Muhammad for getting those streets taken care of so those people could get out and get where they need to be on the emergencies that they had. Now, I don't do much, but what I do, I do. Amen. Now, I don't do much, and I don't brag on it, but I'm going to let you know this too, sir. Over the holidays, I have an annual Christmas party that I've had since I've sat in this seat. And I was blessed this year that 100 families from the 2nd Ward got a turkey for Christmas. Amen. And that's never happened. Amen. And those kids, it was over 200. Thank you, Chief of Police. Thank you, Howard Croft. And I want to thank the fire chief for attending that party, because it made a world of difference to the constituents from the 2nd Ward and from some of the other wards that were at that party. It made a big difference, and it was a rough night. Mr. Earley was going to attend. It was a rough night, but he made the determination to get on the road so he could get home. But thank you for trying, Mr. Earley. Yeah, we down and out, and we might not like each other. Some of us might not like each other, but we still got to work together. And I just want to let this gentleman know, I'm sorry you're not in the 2nd Ward, because everybody that calls Jackie Poplar get a phone call back. And I've done that for the last 3 terms. And obviously, 600 people, over 600, that put me back in the seat, believes in me. So when you come up here to talk about council people, whoever you need to single out, that is what you need to do. Because you don't know me. And if you're in the 2nd Ward, then let me know, and we'll get to know each other. Now, this is my last thing that I have to say, Mr. President. If we can do a referral to find out who's cutting these log trees, the trees down, turning them into logs, leaving them on the curb. Some of them are being picked up, some of them are not being picked up. I can't seem to find out, and my constituents are calling me. So that is what I need to know. And once again, I want to thank the workers that went out there and worked 16 hours. Sure, the city of Flint, we sold everything, we laid them off, and they didn't know that God was watching all of this and turned this catastrophe into what it was. So now what we need to do is learn from our mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. And I'll make that referral through the emergency manager to Parks and Recreation Director on the removal. It's my understanding that the city of Flint and at least one private contractor is going around getting the branches that have fallen from the ice storm. They've got delayed, of course, because of the bad snow, but they'll continue to pick those branches up as they go through neighborhoods, and we'll come back in the spring and get the ones that are covered up with snow. So I do know that that's going on. Hasn't happened in my ward yet, but it has happened in some parts of the city, and the contractor has told me where it happened. And I talked to some of the residents in that area, and they were out there picking up the branches.
Mr. President.
I will make that referral, Jackie, and ask for a response.
It's not the branches.
No, I know. You're talking about the logs, the trees that are being cut down.
Right, but
Right.
some of these are not the trees where they
No,
fell off.
Right. No, this is separate from that. But I just wanted to
Okay.
follow up by saying that the city and a private contractor is also picking up the branches that have fallen from the ice
Okay.
storm.
Okay.
For the residents to know. Okay? Mr. Mays, Councilman Mays.
Yeah, first give honor to God, and I'm going to do that. I've asked God to hide me behind the cross as a preacher preach when I'm in this political seat. I don't play with God. And people can say what they want about me. They can talk about me. They can dog me out. They can do what they want. But when it comes to God, I don't play. I said God is in the middle of this. Let me explain something to you guys, and then I'm going to respond to you because I know most of you by name. I'm so glad that you stayed, because without public scrutiny and without the people, what have we got? Government is a democracy. It's a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. I ain't got nothing. I've been like Job since '08. My Job experience, I worked for General Motors UAW for 30 years, made plenty money, had plenty cars. But in '08, I took the buyout, and I ran for city council. I missed it by 43 votes, and then guess what happened later? I done won. I done helped so many people win elections, mayors, judges, people in this room, some of them sitting up here now. And I'm telling you, this is the type person I am. I'm gonna help and work for the least of them. I'm one of the least of them. I'm probably the only councilman who can give you a history of water off, no cash coming in. We make, from what I done found out, $215 every 2 weeks. That's what our check is, or that's what mine is. If somebody's more, I don't know it. Do you think I'm gonna give up who I am for $215 every 2 weeks? I don't give up democracy for that. I don't give up honesty for that. I don't give up my God for $215 every 2 weeks. I don't give up my manhood for that. I know boys getting beat up in that police department over there. You got folks 67 years old. I know a man on Baltimore Street. We looking for him now. Manley done come in here like a God-sent legal angel. Quit beating them boys up, black folks mostly, in that jail. I'm sounding out. I don't want them black folks beat up. If they hollering, they already locked up, don't beat them up. Because if you beat me up and hit my hernia, I could be dead. They picking them up walking down the street. If they went past picking them up, pulling them over, I was pulled over 5 times and couldn't tell you why. I done got so pissed every time I drove I had insurance. I'm gonna end up showing the insurance this time. I could talk about that case, but I'm giving manly respect. Quit beating them boys up over there. Send a message. I know the county run it, but y'all gonna quit beating them boys up in that jail. 60-something-year-old man on Baltimore getting beat up. They say May's gonna talk about it. Not only are we gonna talk about it, we gonna sue about it. I appreciate Lonzo Goodman coming down here, because Lonnie was with me. Been knowing him for 30 years. That's Pastor Goodman's brother, Mr. Earley. And what Peter Bade talking about, emergency manager number 3, that's what he was talking about, Mr. Bade. You trying to handicap me with a fraudulent affidavit. I feel sorry for Sherry Estap, because the man who I seen come from in that back room with y'all the day that you and Scott and BB and them wanted me to resign, Sergeant Brady come from the back room. That's who gave me the handwritten note that I'm gonna give you a copy of. And I would ask for the video. When they told me it was a videotape of the police department, that I only had 10 seconds worth of interaction with her. I couldn't have did and said all of that what she said, and y'all know it because Brady come from the back room when you was with Scott, BB, and Josh. You called me Mr. Earley at home, and I was on my way to Charles Winfrey's daughter's funeral at False Avenue, and you said, "May I put you on speakerphone?" I'm like, "Who's calling?" Darnell Earley. I thought I was a big timer, getting a call from the big time emergency manager. But little did I know you was gonna say, "Turn in your garage door opener." Little did I know you was gonna try to limit my freedom of speech. Little did I know that wasn't a big time call, that was a knock me down call. That was the embarrass me publicly call with a fraudulent affidavit from Sherry Estap. See, I know fraud, and then you put in the public arena about police personnel. I say, Lord have mercy, I'm scared as hell. Because when the police start lying on you with fraudulent affidavits, I'm still waiting on my freedom of information request, Mr. Bade. The law says you got 5 days to give me that video. And then if you don't give it to me in 5 days, you can take 10 days and you can say we need more time. But after 15 days, Lord have mercy, have you seen the video, Mr. Earley? Because we didn't have no interaction with her like what she said in that fraudulent affidavit. The same emergency order number 3, which your city attorney guy is saying emergency manager order number 3. You're trying to stifle me, and that's the fraudulent affidavit attached to that. When somebody attaches an affidavit to an emergency order to strip my powers, that's premised on the affidavit being false. We ain't cross-examined that affidavit. So I got to save myself. See, if I'm scared of fraudulent police stuff, and I'm scared of colleagues who don't even talk to me, but stand with an emergency manager to violate me, then I got to talk before something happened to me. See, we had a person named Fred Tucker. He ended up somewhere in Ohio. I don't fear no man. I only fear God. And I've been threatened. My life has been threatened over the holiday. And when I come to a council meeting and I know Robert's rules, and when I know that the UAW took my money and Scott Kincaid worked for the UAW, and then people come at me, put money in my ward against me, try to strip my First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, and you can't do it because I ain't never lost for political strategy. See, I can put the cameras around me, Mr. Earley, and call the White House of the United States and ask to talk to a Democratic president named Mr. Barack Obama. And I can tell him that it's an emergency in Flint and I feel threatened. And then when Mr. Barack Obama find out that this is Eric Mays and I'm really an elected city council person, elected by the people of the city of Flint, we believe that these votes mean something. You know how many absentee ballots I've done and assisted people with in this city? Thousands of them. You check November 2012, the people voted for an ounce of weed or less. It passed the ballot in the city of Flint. Colorado is wide open. We ain't lying. We ain't scared. See, you got to understand this. It's more important for me to tell the truth about who I am than to let y'all fool around and try to discredit me. My father was Pastor Mays. My mother, 82 years old. When the death threats came in, my power was off on Russell Street. I was over her house. I forgot where I was at. I went to cussing and telling them to get off of my phone. Don't you threaten me. I ain't scared of no man. And my mama went to crying and praying. I'm not going to play games with Peter Babe. I'm not going to play games with you, Mr. Kincaid. And Josh, you told me that you wasn't going to be in it. When it's 3 or more council people, that's an illegal meeting. It's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. I don't care what you do as the legislative branch, Mr. Earley, but let me say this. When you act as the legislative branch to discipline an elected council person, you sure can be acting as the executive branch. When you act as the legislative branch in cahoots with 3 council persons, you're subject to the Open Meetings Act. Circuit Court has jurisdiction. That emergency order number 3 can be invalidated while your lawyer sits up here, and I call him your lawyer because if I had full power, I would call for a public hearing and ask for his removal. See, this guy been fooling us for a long time. But remember, I'm still live in Nethercutt's court because before Mike Brown left, I subpoenaed him and had him sworn in. He said, I told Peter Bade to follow the guidelines that was already in place. And Mr. Bade changed it to a 3-minute rule. It's a reason that I asked. It's the charter still in place. It's a reason that I asked. Is Robert rules in effect? It's a reason that I ask, is the council rules in play? Because without rules and order, I don't know how to act. Now, you're lucky that I'm a civilized, intelligent man because guess what? Remember what happened in Iraq and Libya? The people was tired of it. They didn't like a dictator. We sent the military to Iraq and Libya to restore democracy. Democracy is defined as you vote for people and they represent you. Flint, Detroit, Pontiac, and Ben Harbor, black folks is acting civilized. You know, sometimes they start coming out the house. I'm a leader in this community. I represent one of the most dangerous wards in the country per capita. In the most dangerous city in the country per capita. I look killers in the eye and I tell them, put that gun down. But when I got scared in '87, the laws wasn't the same. You could wear a gun now, but you couldn't wear them then. Don't y'all back me up in a corner because I'm a full-grown man before I was an elected politician, and I'm scared. I'm scared of y'all. Not physically, I'm scared of you politically. And when I get scared politically, I talk like this. I get arrested like this. You remember the story about King and man, oh, it's funny, see, when you talk nonviolent, it gets funny. That's what happened to King. Mr. Earley, I wanted you to stay here. See, you got all kind of people in this community. But when we nonviolent and we God-fearing man and when we recite scripture like Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, the 5th and 6th verse, trust in God with all thine heart. Lean not to thy own understanding. Acknowledge him in all thy ways and he will direct my political path. It ain't no joke. There's so many pastors right now in the First Ward that support me. It's pastors from here to Detroit. It's almost like when we say go, people can protest, people can stand in front of City Hall. I can stand out there by myself with an American flag and get pressed. I'm not showboating. I'm asking that you check it out. If that affidavit from Sheria's staff is fraudulent, remove that emergency manager order 3 off of my back. I demand that you check it out. See, due process means that if somebody put a fraudulent affidavit on my back, give me the right to cross-examine them. This city council should bring Sheria's staff right here, put her under oath, and ask her did what she say happened in that affidavit happen. Oh, I read Maxine's affidavit. It's 90% true with a little subjectivity, and Sheria's staff is 90% wrong. See, I can understand Maxine. She works for you. She said $8,000 a week. I said $7,000 a week. You mad because I don't believe in emergency managers. See, Scott and them, they voted to bring y'all in. Neely and Sargentson voted against it. You can't change the way I talk. You can't change the way I believe. What I said that Maxine misquoted in her affidavit, I say you make about $14,000 a month. $7,000 every 2 weeks. See, I make $215 every 2 weeks. I'm not in it for the money. What I said if I made $7,000 every 2 weeks, I would give my girlfriend $3,000. I would put $2,000 in the bank and go to the casino with the other $2,000. That's what I said, and that's what I meant. Do you know money ain't a thing? Money ain't a thing. And I said that you and Mike Brown wasn't trying to fix nothing because the minute you fix it, you ain't got no check. You got to go. I said that I can get revenue generating in 60 to 90 days. I say I can put people to work. I say I can show you the hot spots in my ward where killers at and guns at, and I could put undercover people in there and clean them out. This ain't no game. So I'm going to end up by saying this. Don't change the rules of the game when Eric Mays get elected. Don't change the rules. I've been watching this stuff for 30 years, not 30 days. Peter Bade and Scott Kincaid want to change the rules. See, we've seen that as black folks for years. The minute we get in the game, the rules change. You know, they move the goalposts. Never before have the council been told how and when to speak until Eric Mays paid attention to people last council meeting. Barbara Griffin Wilson, you spoke about that lawsuit with Charles Young. We know about it. Quincy Murphy, did you get the half-an-hour meeting that I requested they set up with Howard Croft? Remember that last time? This guy said it was a drug dealer, but come to find out he was the landlord vice president association guy. I met him and gave him my card. Call me. Johnny Billings, you exactly right. I tried to refer that water main break. And remember, Johnny, you hang in there because I'm going to represent you, and it's going to be a heck of a time getting me out of here. So I appreciate your kind words, and I know about everything happening on Graceline Street. Y'all supported me, and I appreciate it. Reverend Whitaker, don't let them get you upset. Just keep believing in God. They violated my rights. I hear what you're saying with Patrick DeRace. That got a lot to do with the project that we're working on at Hasselbrink. I know Hasselbrink is an asset, and we love it. We service the senior citizens. Gus, I know who you is. You go to House of Prayer. You're in the 5th Ward. I'm going to say something through you, Mr. President, to my colleague in the 5th Ward. That's Gus. He go to House of Prayer. He talking about that house. I talked to him. I told him it was going to be a meeting. You're all right there. Alonzo Goodman, God bless you, man. You bring tears to my eyes, Goodman, because you were there. You know that Sheria's staff is lying. And the whole emergency manager order 3 is based on a fraudulent affidavit. And I can bet you, as sure as I'm sitting here now, they knew it was fraud because Mr. Brady signed this handwritten letter. Well, it's a note. Remember I asked him what was her name? Who acts like that? I'll pass it out to my colleagues. I'll pass it out to Mr. Earley. Mr. Earley, we can prove, and then get me the video. Have it been lost? Have you seen it? You know she lying. I feel sorry for her. I'm a union person. God bless her. I'll forgive her. I say give her another chance, but she done lied on an elected black official. And you done reacted and put an emergency manager order in place and got me looking stupid all across the city. You owe me an apology. You owe my mama an apology. You owe my daddy an apology. Because Pastor May's name meant something. He was a 33rd degree Mason. We built Shiloh Commons. Let me say this as I get ready to close, because I stopped at Alonzo Goodman. I'm going to say this, Mr. Dumas. The truth will make you free. You say it shall make you free. It will, it shall. Whatever it do, it ain't never sent you to that other place. I can kill me now and I can go to heaven. I believe it. I believe it. Chris Del Moroni. You say you hadn't had no mail since January the 4th. You talked about that asset called a parking structure. You came up here with a shovel, brother. I remember how it feel on that side of the mic, Chris, and you bring tears to my eyes. It ain't just about black and white. It's about wrong and right. You right, Chris. I'm going to tell you this. Mr. Wilson, you shouldn't cuss, though. You know, I be wanting to cuss sometime, but what can I say? You know, I came in here with 2 felonies. What, I'm going to resign for misdemeanors. So I know we can't be Jesus. I don't cuss, Mr. Wilson. I seen the police coming up on you. If you get ready to cuss, guess what? Get ready to go to jail sometime, just like I do. But sometime when you protest and go to jail and you don't cuss like I do, they'll understand it better in the morning time. I still got that live case over in Nethercutt's court. It's time to pick up on it. Howard Croft, let them arrest me. I helped a whole lot of people during the power outage. I helped a whole lot of people during the snowstorm. Howard Croft, God bless you, man. Miss Inez Brown, if I say your name and look that way, I'm crying. They don't know how well I know the people in this community. I'm going to shut up before I make myself cry, because when I cry, I'm for real. Reverend Threlcare, I heard what you said the last time. You sent a written request through Ms. Brown as a respected pastor in this community, and it went to Mr. Earley. I don't think he know Pastor Fuller. I don't think he really know. Oh, yes, he do. He know Reverend Marvin Jennings because of that paper that was signed, the letter for our training and orientation session. Then they told me the next Sunday he was over there at Grace Emmanuel. But he don't know all the pastors like we do. I don't know how well he know Randolph. I know Pastor Stewart gonna tease me and say, hey, man, I heard you were there. That's how you do. Pastors all through the First Ward. I'm gonna close like this. The First Ward will probably have its First Ward meeting next Monday at a church in the First Ward. The First Ward will have a ward meeting once a month, and it will operate under Robert's Rules of Orders. And we hope that we'll have 100, the 200, the 300 First Ward residents there. And I'm here to tell you, I hope that the other wards and their residents get jealous, because we're going to be organized in the First Ward. We will have a ward chairperson. I'll co-chair the meeting. We'll have secretaries, treasurers. We'll raise money. We'll buy zero-turn lawnmowers, and we won't wait on the land bank to cut our grass. We got support of residents and businesses, and we'll be organized within our ward. I encourage people to follow suit, because I didn't run for fellowship. I ran for leadership. And I've been a leader ever since I've been elected in the UAW. It didn't matter which UAW brothers broke ranks, Scott, Norwood. Y'all didn't endorse me, but we beat y'all. And we're going to continue to beat you, because if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. And I'm not going to sit here. I could be one person, man, and the moves y'all make is so obvious to the public, it don't make sense, man. Why would you stand with an emergency manager with a fraudulent affidavit and he says he wants me to resign because I'm violating emergency manager order number 2, and Josh violated it when he left and didn't stay up throughout the whole meeting last time, but they didn't ask Josh to resign. Y'all verbally communicating, you, Josh, and BB, Nolan, that's why y'all ain't got nothing to say now. We struggling to get something to say, but y'all meeting and talking behind the scenes all day long, so that's why you ain't got to say nothing now. We got access. The Blue Ribbon Committee, I wouldn't care if it were red, blue, or green. The charter says this, Mr. Earley. When we change our charter, it's by a vote of the people. Remember, you slipped up, sir. You gave me well, you didn't give it to me, but the press gave me a copy of a press release. It's got your signature on it. Guess what you said, Mr. Earley, in this press release? You said I took the same oath of office as the mayor and the council people. You know what my oath of office say? I live up to the Constitution of the United States, the state of Michigan, and the charter of the city of Flint. So if you said in writing and signed it that you took the same oath of office, hello, can I get my due process, sir? Can I prove that Sherry of staff has submitted a fraudulent affidavit? And if anybody else give you an affidavit and say something about me, will you and Scott and the rest of them give me a courtesy to ask me if it's true before you go to embarrassing me in the public arena? Hey, I appreciate y'all staying. It's a heck of a first council meeting. And guess what? One thing that God done blessed me with, Reverend Threlkill, is once they gave me the voice, guess what? I said it on my literature. It's something to win in these elections. The way I got to communicate here today, if I never said another word. It was a great day being a councilman in the city of Flint. And remember what they say in church. If you just can't say another word, just wave your hand. God bless you, city of Flint. We gonna fix Flint. I know how to fix the jobs. I don't call it Amway. I call it Flint way. I know how to help bridge cards turn into credit cards. See, when you help 30, 40, 50,000 people get checks, they quit stripping houses and they start building up houses. Remember, if we get income tax and property tax going, somebody got to leave. And let me say this, Mayor Walling, because you can't be off the hook. You was in the room with him. You wanted me to resign too. I'm gonna say this. If you ain't careful and I articulate solutions and help people get checks, and prove that I ain't crazy, and help clean up crime with undercover officers, in 2 years from now, they're gonna automatically nominate me for a position. So believe me, brother, I ain't joking and I ain't playing. This is the real world, and I'm telling you, the least of them, those who are elderly and the least of them, that's who I'm in it for. And not only will I talk about it, I get knocked upside the head. I get beat up by killer police. I will die for it. And guess what will happen? I believe I can go to heaven. I believe I can go to heaven. I believe it'll be a big funeral. If I tell y'all somebody threatening me, and there's people in cahoots against me, you can let them kill me, or you can protect me. God bless you, and thank you.
Okay, I just have one comment real quick. A lot of concern about blight and demolition in the city of Flint. Everybody's heard and read about the money that we've received from the federal government. I just want to report that the land bank has started releasing 100 properties to contractors, and they're going to continue to do that. So we should start to really see some demolition. Some demolition in the city of Flint in the next few weeks and continue until between 1,600 and 1,800 structures are removed, and I just wanted to report that out. We have no resolutions this evening. There are 2 ordinances. I'm going to be appointing a legislative committee, and
Mr. Chair, I'd move
Mr.
that-
President,
Mr. Mays, I'm speaking. I'm not done yet. I didn't interrupt you, please.
but that's how it works. If you got something to say, you try to interrupt. If you don't give me the floor, I'll be quiet. But when you finna appoint something, that's what I'm trying to speak on. So don't appoint until you give me a shot. I got something relevant to say. Excuse me.
You may want to wait till after I appoint you, please.
No, I want to speak before you appoint.
Okay. We have the 2 ordinances, and I believe Mr. Babe would like those postponed for 60 days.
That's correct.
Okay? So could I get a motion to postpone ordinance 130343.2
So move. I move to postpone that ordinance.
and also ordinance 130344.4?
You want them both at the same time?
Support.
Well, so move.
Because they go together and they're, one's a zoning, so.
Mr. President?
They've been moved and supported, Councilman Neely, and then
Support.
come back.
Yeah, just so the public know what ordinances are being postponed, could the attorney please briefly describe the ordinances as being postponed, briefly?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Could you just briefly describe the ordinances as being postponed so the public would know what we're postponing?
Sir, these are 2 ordinances. One is for the regulation of medical marijuana dispensaries, and the other is a companion zoning ordinance that goes with the regulation of medical marijuana dispensaries. The medical marijuana ordinance includes a new department that has been established, but there's still some stuff to do so that we can properly administer the ordinance. Once this is adopted, we anticipate an immediate response from dispensaries, and we want to ensure that the city is prepared to address anybody that comes in the door.
I have no problem with the postponement, I just wanted the audience to know.
Mr. President.
It's been moved and supported, Mr. Mays.
Yeah, so I guess the motion to postpone or the wanting to postpone it came from probably the emergency manager, the city attorney, because the legislative committee ain't been meeting. So regardless of where it came from, look like we gonna postpone it. Could you have me, through you to the emergency manager, however business is being done, could I get a copy of those 2 ordinances in my mailbox?
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry? Yes. And the reason that it's really being postponed, it wasn't from the emergency manager or Mr. Babe. One is the clerk has been working on this ordinance with the attorney's office. And 2, one of the committees that I'm going to appoint tonight is legislative, and I wanted that legislative committee to be involved and review not only this ordinances, but other ordinances in the future, so.
And that was my second half of the question, who's been working on it. So you answered that. I have no further questions or concern on the discussion.
Thank you. I'll roll, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Poplar? Yes. Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman? Yes. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Neely?
Yes for postponement?
Ms. Galloway?
Yes.
Ms. Van Buren?
Yes.
Mr. Kincaid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yes for postpone.
The vote is 9 yes, 0 no.
Okay, that concludes any action that the City Council needs to take this evening. I would like to appoint a number of committees
Mr. President.
because we are not having regular bi-weekly meetings prior to the council meeting right now, but I think it's important that there are some areas in the city of Flint. I've had this discussion with the clerk and the emergency manager and the vice president, that I think council members need to start to get involved with various departments and start looking at a lot of the concerns that the residents have in the city of Flint and about the direction that the city's going, whether or not we have formal committee meetings or not. So,
Mr. President,
Mr. Mays, please.
you finna make some appointments, aren't you?
I'm sorry?
You finna try to make some appointments, correct?
I'm going to make them.
Okay, but
I'm
then...
explaining it.
Yeah,
I didn't interrupt you, please.
if you,
please.
Let's see where you're headed with this, because I know what the rules say.
So I'm going to appoint a public safety committee, and on that public safety...
Point of order, Mr. President. Point of order.
Mr. Mays, I'm not going to...
No, well, you can act like you don't know
Recognize
Robert's
you.
rules, but
I
let me
didn't
say
interrupt
this.
you.
Let
No.
me say this. This is not interruption. The rules say that you can make the appointments or the council can. And if you understand the rules of the council, it says that you can make the appointments or the council can. So if I made a motion, are you shaking your head, Josh? If I made a motion and I said that I wanted the council to be involved in these appointments, I can guarantee you, I think it's rule 4.1. Now, I got my rules here, the city council. And remember, I'm asking the whole time, what is in play? Now, Josh, I seen you shaking your head. But that's why I said point of order, because once you make those appointments, I can't even talk about this. I can assure you that the rules of the city council say you can make the appointments or the council can make the appointments. So through you to the city attorney, and I'm gonna probably back up and let you make them, but just for the record, because I hate when you try to make me look stupid.
I'm not making you look...
Well, ask the city attorney what it says and read it. I bet you I can tell you what it says. You know what it says? You want me to read it? I got mine.
I don't.
Because it do say that you can make the appointments or the city council can make them. So if I had put a motion on the floor and said I wanted the city council to make them and it was seconded and passed, you wouldn't be making them. Now, anybody can check this after the fact, but I'm going to caution you. I hope that's the last time you try to make me look stupid, because I know these rules without even looking at them. God bless you.
I'm going to make these appointments, and I'm going to appoint a public safety committee. And on that public safety committee, I'd like Vicki Van Buren to chair that public safety committee because of her experience in the past working with Office on Neighborhoods, crime watches, setting up foot patrol in the communities and working that way. I also want Jackie Poplar to serve on that committee, and Josh Freeman because of the finances and the special millages that we have to fund these programs. The next committee that I want to appoint is the Finance Committee. I'm going to appoint Josh Freeman as the chairperson of that Finance Committee. I'm going to appoint Councilman Davis to that committee, and I'm also going to appoint Councilwoman Galloway to that committee. I'm going to appoint a legislative committee. I'm going to appoint Councilman Neely as chair of that committee. I'm going to appoint Councilman Mays and myself to that committee. I didn't appoint Councilman Nolden to any specific committees. Councilman Nolden has been asked to serve on the Blue Ribbon Committee and represent the City Council, and so he's accepted that, and so that will be another responsibility that he has on top of being Vice President of the City Council. So those are the committees. Those are the appointments, and I would expect as these committees form and start to interact with those various departments that they're assigned to, that they will report back to us in any future ordinances that need to be adopted or changes to the budget or working on the budget or public safety, any issues like that that would require City Council. I would ask those members of the body of that committee to interact with council members so that we're all working together. So that's the reason that I've done this. This is different than the way we've done them in the past. In the past, we've had committees that met in the committee room, and we allowed department heads to come in and talk to us. This way, I'm appointing council members so that they'll be reaching out to the department heads and working more intricately with those departments to make sure that the residents and the concerns of this community are addressed. And so we're going to do it this way. If it doesn't work and someone else gets elected council president another year, then they can make a change. But under the council rules, I'm making these appointments, and I wish you all well. And if you need any support or help from me, I will be there to help you. So thank you very much. And
Mr.
that.
One thing, I want to briefly, I want to resend the referral, if that's okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to resend the referral through Emergency Manager Earley to the legal department. You guys have heard me talk about the dog problem in our city for maybe the last several months, and we only meet once a month, so I want to make sure we expedite this. I do want to recognize two individuals that are standing in the back of the room. Phil and Richard, can you guys just raise your hand? They're from the Animal Rights Organization. Richard is also an attorney that represents animal rights, and we have negotiated the terms of a good agreement so we can better govern bad dog owners inside the city of Flint. This ordinance is going to be something new and something unique to make sure that we have owner responsibility for bad dog owners. We had a lot of dog attacks in our community. I don't blame the canines so much as I blame the owners of those canines, and I want to hold them more accountable for their actions or lack of actions as they have these animals. We had several kids attacked, we had postal workers attacked, we have other civil people attacked. In my communication with the emergency manager, I have not had opportunity to really discuss it in detail with the city attorney, but the referral that I sent before, it got miscommunicated that I was looking for a civil ordinance. We already currently have that, but I want a criminal ordinance and it to be an owner responsibility ordinance, and that's what we're going to be championing. And also in partnership with the animal rights activists, we're going to be putting that together, and hopefully we can really expedite this to make sure that no postal worker, that no child, that no resident of the city of Flint will be held victim to an animal that's not controlled by an owner. And I just want to resend that referral. I hope I made myself very clear, Janelle. We're going to criminal, not civil. I know it's, we want to make sure that we say that, and we want to expedite that. And I appreciate you staying, Mr. Earley. I really do. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, with the new committees, like you said, I think it was Neely, myself, and you might have said yourself on the legislative committee. Can you send this referral through you to the emergency manager, to the city attorney, or whoever? But you said it's going to be different than when we used to have committees in the room where somebody would chair and it would be the committees of the whole. Now, I would be a little hypocritical if I didn't want this referral sent, because the charter I know says when there's 2 or more, meaning 3, that we have to post them committee meetings under the Open Meetings Act. So keep this in mind. If I'm going to play ball and participate in the committee of 3, I want to know the legalities of it, of when we meet as 3, do we tell the people, and is it a public meeting subject to the Open Meetings Act? Now, believe me, once again, I know what the charter say. It say 2 or more. 2 or more counts to 3. And I'm not going to be a part of it if it ain't open to the public as we discuss city business, unless y'all can convince me of that. So that's a referral if you follow what I asked.
I wouldn't have appointed 3 members to a body if I felt that it violated the Open Meetings Act. So
It does.
I just want to assure my colleagues that I would not do that, and that these meetings, when you interact with the department heads, will not be open to the public. It'll be a responsibility for you, committee members, to work and come back and share that information.
Mr. President, maybe you misunderstood what I said.
I didn't misunderstand.
The charter says 2 or more, and then what the Open Meetings Act and what the law says is that we know that the Open Meetings Act is a quorum. But if you read the law close, because we got all of it in this big book we got over at the Technology Center. See, the charter is superseded by certain things. But if the charter don't conflict with that law, and that's why I didn't ask you, I asked that you send it out for research to the proper department, because I can assure you right now the charter says 2 or more. That counts to 3. So you say what you want, but I'll stay within the law until y'all show me differently, because right now I'm challenging y'all on y'all secret behind closed door meetings.
Thank you.
I won't be a part of it.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.